What's going on, YouTube? The Ignis here. We got the latest episode in the Death Rule Lost Code playthrough. Anyway, I think I figured out what was wrong with the audio issues in all my previous videos. The video's too long. The frames keep dropping when I'm recording the shit, so I'm gonna keep it at a solid 15 minutes for every video from now on. Anyway, so I'm gonna stop talking so much. I'm just gonna get right into it. It was way past midnight, and Dwight walked through the forest alone. He had gone over it again and again in his head, and only one scenario seemed to make the most sense. After Gabe had killed Lily, he must have somehow received the ability as a result of her death, and then Dwight had, in turn, received it as a result of Gabe's death. Assuming that explained how he suddenly inherited it, one question still remained. How in the hell does it actually work? Dwight muttered this under his breath as he made his way back to the makeshift campsite. He had with him a few twigs to add to a small fire they had built a while earlier. There was only one way to find out. He was going to have to test his skeleton key ability himself. He managed to open up the ability's own menu and selected the option which read Activate. It played the same sound as the last time, and when he checked his objective, it was still there, incomplete. Guess that sound means it didn't work. What happens when it does work, though? Dwight was getting close to their camp now, so he figured he could give one last thing a try. In his curiosity, he opened the list back up again and decided to try another name. Reluctantly, he selected Tina's name. If anyone was going to be freed from this game, it might as well be the person helping him, even if he didn't totally trust her yet. But the result was the same. A failure sound played after he had made a selection. Dwight shrugged and shoved the PDA into his back pocket as he entered the light of the campfire. Tina was whittling an intricate design into a small knobby branch. After blowing off some stray wood shavings and looking up from her handiwork, she cast Dwight another look of annoyance. Taking your time yet again, Dwight? He returned her resentful glare with an expression of self-defense. I told you, my skin's bothering me. I mean, you didn't even get hurt during that whole thing, so you wouldn't know. That's because I approached the situation tactfully and not like a careless idiot. It may not have meant anything, but Dwight noticed that after she had finished speaking, she looked over to the side. Could she have been regretting what she said? Dwight nearly laughed aloud at his fantasy. I know you're tougher than that. Excuse me? Dwight had failed to notice that he mumbled that out loud. Nothing. I was just talking to myself is all. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, you look tired. You should go ahead and try and get some rest. What about you? Do I look like the type that needs a lot of sleep? Yes. Yeah, you kinda do. Is that a trick question? Tina pointed her knife menacingly at Dwight in response. So yeah, I'm going to sleep. Bitch. Tina lowered her knife and the ghost of a grin silently crept onto her face. Good choice. Now get. Dwight shrugged and walked about 10 feet away into the shelter he and Tina had crafted from various foliage around them. In reality, Tina did most of the work, putting it together, and Dwight had just gathered all the supplies. It definitely wasn't anything like sleeping back home, or even the tent from the other night. Even small gusts easily flowed into the shelter, chilling Dwight to the bone. He glanced over at Tina. She seemed to be unfazed by the wind. Before he even realized it, he began to drift to sleep, all while watching Tina's hair gently swayed in the cold night's breeze. Morning came almost as quickly as he had closed his eyes, and Dwight yawned, stretching as he sat up and crawled out of the tent towards Tina. Morning, Tina. He mumbled sleepily to her. She didn't respond, and as soon as he got close enough, he could clearly see why. He almost couldn't contain his laughter as he looked at Tina slumped over slightly, sleeping. Her knife was barely in her hand, her slender fingers closed around the hilt softly. A thought suddenly slipped into his head, and he smiled mischievously as he slowly reached out for her knife. The next thing he knew, he was on the ground, her knees pinning his arms down. Her arm was extended stiffly, and the knife was firmly pressed against his neck. She had a fierce look in her eyes. Dwight felt a warm sensation on his neck and sheepishly whispered to her, Tina, I think you're hurting me. Please get off of me. Ever so slowly, her expression softened as she got up off of him. Dwight brushed his hand against his neck, and it came away with a thin trail of blood. Sorry, but in my defense, it's never a good idea to try and do something funny with me while I sleep, including trying to take my knife. Get the picture? I see it as clear as the blood on my hand. It would seem that so far you haven't been making the wisest decisions. I guess it's settled. Huh? What's settled? Today I'm going to give you some basic combat training. If you're going to have even the slimmest chance of surviving out here, it's not going to be with how you've been going about doing things up until now. So you're basically calling me weak? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Guess you might not be as dumb as you look. Oh, weak and dumb, eh? Well, how about I challenge you to a fight? Clean hand-to-hand fighting. No weapons, no low blows, no eye gouging, no kidney shots, and no rules. You just listed off 5 rules! Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 rules. Actually, those are about 5 rules right there. I counted 7. I don't know. Besides those. Not on your life, kid. I'd have you down and out in a second. Really? Maybe you're just scared. This poor kid. He's trying so hard. That's not going to work on me. She said this and began to walk away while Dwight steamed. Who did she think she was? Before he could stop himself, he shouted her out after her. Just what I expect from an emotionally stable bipolar. Oh, shit. Ooh. Oh, that's a... He about to get his ass beat. That's about to be an ass whooping. That stopped her dead in her tracks, and instantly, Dwight had regretted what he'd said. Too late. No taking that back. Tina turned towards him, fire in her eyes. You ungrateful little fucker. Is that what you think? Is that how you think of me? Let's fight then, you little shit. Right here, right now. And with that, she assumed a solid-looking fighting stance. His regret was gone. Dwight was back to me and steamed. Without hesitation, Dwight charged directly at Tina. He pulled his fist back to deliver a running punch. He never noticed her foot lash out in front of her as she swiftly sidestepped his attack. Her counter sent him face first into the dirt. Initiative means nothing when paired with carelessness. She spat this and followed up with a kick to his gut. Dwight curled into a ball, willing the pain to go away. He forced in a deep breath, pushing himself off of the floor and turning to face her. He tried throwing a wild punch towards Tina's face, but effortlessly, she grabbed it and promptly slammed it back into his own face. Damn, she made him hit himself. Dwight screeched out his pain as he heard a loud crunching noise and a white flash blurred his vision. He pinched his nose, trying to hold back tears. Don't assume everything you throw at your enemy is going to hit them. Chances are they have more of an idea of what to do next than you do. Still, Dwight fought back fiercely but fruitlessly. Every time Dwight would launch an attack, Tina would counter him with ease, making child's play out of what he thought should have been a devastating flurry of attacks. Finally, Dwight managed to get Tina to slip up and he tackled her to the ground. He brought a fist up to strike her, but he instead received a sharp blow to his upper abdomen and he doubled over, dry heaving. Tina calmly stood up and brushed herself off before coming over and kicking Dwight's ass, once again causing him to eat dirt. That's for calling me an emotionally unstable bipolar hoe. Dwight's vision blurred in and out. He saw Tina's outstretched hand, her expression free of malice. So when she slapped him in the face instead of helping it up, it set him reeling. And that is for good measure. That had been the last straw. Dwight had tried to force his face to be still, void of emotion, but he couldn't hold back his quivering lip or the small squeaks which transformed into sobs. Before he even knew it, he was openly crying in front of Tina. He couldn't take it anymore. He had had enough. Between the kidnapping, the murderers trying to kill him, and getting his ass kicked, Dwight's will had, at that moment, been broken. Pathetic wimp. Go ahead, cry, but you know what? It's people like you who get killed in the end. She seemed like she had more to say, but she didn't continue. She sighed and mumbled silently to herself. I have a long day ahead of me. Dwight couldn't remember how long he had cried, but he knew it had to have been at least 5 to 10 minutes. When he finally snapped back to reality, he nearly jumped out of his skin with surprise. Tina was sitting next to him closely, and not just that. Her hand was on his back, slowly circling the small of his back in a soothing way, and her eyes were closed as she was breathing softly through her nose. Tina? What are you doing? Tina's hand suddenly stopped. Before he could comment, she was on her feet, her eyes wide open and her hands on her hips facing towards him, brushing profusely. Nothing. What would make you think that I'm doing anything? Dwight sniffled as he felt a small grin come upon his face. Thank you. Tina frowned and turned away from him, crossing her arms over her chest defiantly. Don't get all soft on me, you idiot. We have a job to do. You know, survive. Alright. seem to know about what we should be doing next. Might I ask exactly what it is you have in mind? Tina's eyes widen and she smiles sheepishly, scratching the back of her head. We're going after the next target, of course. The next target? Who might that be? Good question. Here's your answer. Whoever we happen to find next. Damn it. Good question. Here's your answer. Whoever we happen to find next. We really don't have a choice, do we? It's not like we know where anyone is. But Dwight knew where the others were. He even knew where everything else was. It was a risk, but Dwight decided it was best to just get it over with and tell her. Yeah, about that. I know where we can look. Really? Where? Dwight pulled out his PDA and looked at his screen. Well, considering our little hike last night put us at about J8 on the map, I'd say we're fairly close. 2 players are at H6. Just our luck, it seems that there's also food cache right next to it at H4. As he said, Tina's disbelief was clear. She shook her head vigorously. No, you can't be serious. You're the one with the eagle eye ability? Dwight just shrugged and nodded. Yeah, that about sums it up. Well, that would have been nice to know earlier. Is there anything else you haven't told me that you'd like me to know? Yes, he also had the skeleton key ability, but something was telling him that it wasn't the best time to admit he had attained it. Nope, not at the moment. Tina crossed her arms and stared at him. It didn't look like she was buying it. Alright then. Well, since you know where everyone is, mind telling me if we're in any immediate danger? No, we're currently safe from players, traps, and hunters. Tina took a moment to consider this and nodded her head slightly. I think the best thing we can do right now is head over to those 2 players and take them out. What? Already? We can't risk letting them get away. Look, I can see where they are at all times, Tina. Plus, we can follow them if they try to get away. Besides, beat me up. I didn't expect you to be able to fight in this condition. Good point. Fine, we'll play it your way this time. But I swear, if you lose track of them, you'll regret it. I'll keep that in mind, but for now, we wait. In order to pass time, Tina practiced her knife throwing while Dwight examined his PDA and checked the location of all the players until night fell. Hey, those 2 are still around, right? Yeah, practically right where we left them. Well then, no point in waiting. They're just ahead, Dwight said silently, glaring at his PDA. Tina nodded back at him and chose a nearby tree to climb. She moved swiftly and soon she was looking out from the treetops for their next targets. There. She mouthed and pointed to a spot in the distance before climbing back down. Ready for this? Dwight nodded and they began to make their way forward. As they came closer, he heard voices speaking to one another. Maria, I don't think we're safe here. Come now, child. There's no danger here. I told you, her scent is still fate. Now hush, Sherry. Okay. Tina and Dwight were in position. Dwight with his machete, and Tina with her knife stuck through her belt hoop and the dagger they had taken off of Gabe's body in her hand. Sherry. Huh? Do you smell someone? No, though I thought of a way to keep you safe. Although she said this in a caring and loving tone, her expression seemed somehow off. What do you mean? Maria walked toward Sherry, smiling. Sherry seemed to realize something was wrong too and began to back up. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Just as Sherry had backed into a tree, Maria pounced on her. Maria lashed out and caught Sherry on the side of her neck, striking her just below and to the front of her ear. Sherry's face and body suddenly became slack. She had incapacitated her. Maria worked quickly while the little girl was still unconscious and grabbed at something at the ground. It was amazing how quickly she moved, and in almost no time at all, she had bound Sherry to the tree trunk with a little rope, mumbling to herself as she finished tying the knot. You have no idea how hard it is for me to get the rope off that trap. It took all of my effort and care just to avoid setting it off, but now things are going according to plan. Tina's grip on the dagger tightened up. I have a clear shot, Dwight. Go ahead and choose. Choose what? Which one I'm going to take out? Try and take out the Mutaga. She looks like she'll be in the most trouble for us. We'll move on from there. Interesting plan, but unfortunately for you, I don't think that'll work out for you. Too well for you. They both froze. She can hear us? Yes, in fact, yes, I can, in fact. I'm a Mutaga, after all. That means enhanced senses. Anyway, it's hitting the 15-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I know they said there were going to be choices in this gameplay, but I think they're actually in the other storyline. But for the most part, this is just... Right now, this is a visual novel. Anyway, so, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and stop at this point. And yeah, hit that thumbs up. Go ahead and try the game if you want to play through it yourself. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.